Good evening. I'm your host, Sam Matheny, and alongside me is Matt Bruzas. We ask you to please excuse our momentary interruption of sports from your regular daily schedule. Let's get right into it. The MLB expanded their playoffs last season to 16 teams. It's expected that the MLB will revert back to only 10 teams making the playoffs this upcoming season. Should the MLB keep the expansion?
I think they should keep it to 16 teams because it was really exciting and really brought in a lot more interest to the sport. I know for me personally, I really like to see how 8 teams on the NL and the AL was really decided. I mean, yeah, I really like how they went from 3 games, 5 games, 7, and 7 games for each series. It really kept things moving. It really kept things interesting. And who knows? There could have been there were a lot of upsets last season, and so maybe you get that this season as well.
No, I think you're completely wrong on this one. I think the MLB should stay at 10 teams for a few reasons here. You know, these guys are playing 162 games. 162 games, and they're not able to have a lot of rest in between. So I think that's one of the reasons they should keep it this way. And in addition, if 16 teams were to be in it, the playoffs would have meaningless series between like the first and the 8th seed, I think, because honestly, the teams that are in it already, they already know that they have a good shot at making the World Series, and I think that it makes it more exciting, and the fan bases really rally behind it if there's only 10 teams, because it's so much harder to get into, and it makes it so much more exciting.
But if you're looking at a team like, for example, the Washington Nationals, they went in in 2019 when they won it. They went from the wild card game or the play-in game, beat Milwaukee, and then went through the entire rest of the field and won the World Series. And so you're looking at a team that maybe if there was another team, maybe you have more examples like that. I think it makes it more interesting, and it gives many more teams a chance to win it. We saw many teams make a run, like the Padres made a run, the Astros made a run, and especially small market teams like the Tampa Bay Rays. They made a run making all the way to the World Series. So it's giving more teams a chance. I think it's going to be, and it gives more people interested because their team's in it.
That's fair, but I still think it should stay at 10 teams because when you look at the rave and the hype that comes behind these playoffs, fans, yeah, they may have more fan attraction to the playoffs because there'll be more teams involved. But at the same time, you look at teams like the Chicago Cubs a few years ago in 2016, they hadn't made the playoffs or gone very far in the playoffs in a very long time. And then they were able to basically win their division and then win being down 3-1 in the World Series. I think brings the more energy that you have to see from these playoffs.
Yeah, but I think with more teams, I think it brings more energy. I think because then you feel like you earned it more, and I feel like these teams are really going to have to really earn it and really get to the playoffs. By the way, making it, I think if you have more chance to make it, you're then maybe you go farther.
Next up, expansion of the college football playoffs. We'll be right back here with more PEOMIOSFYRDS. Please excuse this commercial break.
Warhawks know what it takes to become champions. At the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, our student athletes pursue excellence with a determination that inspires everyone on campus. Warhawks are smart. Warhawks are strong. Warhawks value service. We prepare our student athletes for life after college. The University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Come be part of the Warhawk family.
UWW-TV has been an important part of the campus and community since 1980.
Not only providing on-air learning opportunities for broadcast journalists and electronic media production students,
but educating and entertaining our audiences with award-winning news, live sports coverage, original programming,
as well as dedicating the mission to developing creative collaborations throughout campus.
For more information, visit our website, our 24/7 stream, and like us on Facebook.
Check us out because you got to see what's on UWW-TV.
UW Athletics, a relentless pursuit of excellence across 22 sports, powered by a tradition of success. 20 national championships, 17 since 2002. 61 individual national titles. 24 National Athletes of the Year. 616 All-Americans. 115 Conference Scholar Athletes of the Year. 1,500 community service hours annually. Be a part of the tradition and join the Warhawk family.
Here at UW-Whitewater Intramural Sports, we have a motto: a sport for everyone and everyone in a sport.
Come on!
Accepted anyways. They're going to count it.
Had a blast. Always have fun at intramurals.
Every day we strive to go above and beyond that goal by providing healthy exercise, promoting leisure education, and giving students that competitive atmosphere they are looking for.
It's exciting. Brings me back to those high school days with Friday Night Lights.
With our 25 different intramural sports offered, we guarantee that we have a sport for you. Go to our website and find your sport today.
While paper facial coverings can only be used once, other facial coverings should be washed after every use to reduce the risk of spreading germs. Some facial coverings can be laundered, but washing them with soap and water in the bathroom is also an effective and efficient method for disinfecting. The students shown here wore their facial covering until they entered the bathroom, thoroughly washed it with dish soap and water, and brought it to their room to air dry. Always allow your mask to dry completely before reuse. If you do not have dish soap at your disposal, please use the provided hand soap in the community bathrooms.
Welcome back to Please Excuse Our Momentary Interruption of Sports from Your Regular Daily Schedule. With every passing year, there are more talks about expanding the college football playoffs to 8 teams, since once its contract expires in 2025. Should the playoffs be expanded?
I think it should in 2025, but I think I like it right now. But I think for being expanded, it should go to 8 teams. You think yet it gives more teams a chance, and so I think what that'll do is it'll bring more teams and more fans into the conversation. If you look at this past year, for example, and when you had issues like Ohio State getting in, only playing 7 games, but then Texas Tech and Florida being on the outside looking in because there's only 4 teams getting in. They are sure that they did a lot to impress the committee, but then again, they didn't get in because it's only 4 teams. And so these teams are getting punished for not being successful enough and being undefeated.
This is another sport that just doesn't need a playoff expansion. I'm sorry. You look at those 3-4 teams that make the playoffs. Let's be honest here. Let's go down. Number 1, Alabama, Clemson every single year. Number 2, Clemson or Notre Dame like last year. And Ohio State creeps in there too. And traditionally another SEC team will get in there too. But I think the problem comes where those 3 teams that make it are the same 3 teams going every frickin' year. I think that's the reason why these teams, they just need to be able to, the 4th seed, like you said, yeah, there is some controversy there. There's a lot of controversy when it comes to which team can get in. Coastal Carolina, maybe they got ripped off, maybe they didn't this past season. But I think they lost their bowl game anyway. So, I mean, they were bound to lose at some point. They don't play in a Power 5 conference.
All right, so I'm going to read off here. Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Ohio State 3, Notre Dame 4, Texas A&M 5, Cincinnati 6, Oklahoma 7, Oregon 8. And so you look at those 4 matchups, it fits perfectly. And that's going back to 2021, this past season. It's the 5 conference winners if you're looking at the major conferences, and then you could include the American in there because Cincinnati was actually pretty good in 2021. And so you're in those 4 matchups, and then you would have the semifinals be what it would be if you had 4 teams, and then obviously you go from there from what it was. And so it's honestly just giving other teams a chance to get in it. And we've seen it's either going to go to, I think it either should go to 8 teams or to go back to the BCS, because we've seen that only the 2 dominant teams be Alabama and Clemson. And for the longest time, we've seen them go at it in the championship. And honestly, it's getting quite boring.
Yeah, I agree it's getting quite boring, but at the same time, those are the teams that show up and they prove themselves to be the best teams every single year. You can't really argue with that.
Yeah, but then you're also proving that there's a quality that you're putting the importance on the conference championship, and so you're then telling teams to go out and win your conference. And if you can go out and win your conference, you'll be in the college football playoff, and you'll get a chance to compete for a national championship.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, those teams that weren't able to necessarily get in, like Coastal Carolina, UCF, Central Florida, etc., those teams, they have to recognize that every game matters. Yes, they were undefeated when they were there, but the same thing is that the strength of schedule, I think, trumps being able to play a weak game, like a weak conference.
Yeah, I do agree with you there, and I think strength of schedule does matter. But then if you're going undefeated, you're still saying that we went undefeated. Look at us. We have the ability to compete, and so that's why I think they should give it to 8 teams. You're giving the chance for these low-quality Division I teams to go out and have a chance to compete and prove themselves on a national stage. Because everyone in Division I football wants to win a national championship, and that's why only 4 teams, they're not given the chance to.
I think the reason it shouldn't be expanded, more or less, is because those teams, the controversy of making it into the college football playoff, I think it's all part of the fun.
Yeah, that does build up suspense, especially when you're on Selection Sunday. But again, you still have more of that if you only had 8 teams, because then what about the teams 9 through 12 that say we have a chance to get in?
That's a good point. Next up, the magic of March. Then too many distractions for athletes? We'll be right back here with more PEOMIOSFYRDS.
On. Flip them off. 91.7 WSUW. 91.7 is a student-run radio station serving the Whitewater area with a variety of original programs, live sports broadcasting, community events, and more. So turn us on. 91.7 FM. Or stream us live at 917theedge.com.
UW Whitewater Athletics, a relentless pursuit of excellence across 22 sports, powered by a tradition of success. 20 national championships, 17 since 2002. 61 individual national titles. 24 National Athletes of the Year. 616 All-Americans. 115 Conference Scholar Athletes of the Year. 1,500 community service hours annually. Be a part of the tradition and join the Warhawk family.
As an Army ROTC cadet at Whitewater, you have the opportunity to develop into a great leader while learning and applying the Army values to your everyday life. Within ROTC, you have the chance to travel overseas in the CULP program to train with other militaries, attend many elite Army schools such as Airborne and Combat Diver, and you have the opportunity to attend conferences and guest lectures by some of the Army's top-ranking officers. Our Warhawk cadets participate in many extracurricular activities, Division III sports, Greek life, intramural sports, among many other team building and community service events. Being a cadet at Whitewater is more than just being part of the Army. It's also about being active members in our community and coming together to form a family atmosphere. Anyone who wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves while developing themselves professionally should consider UW Whitewater ROTC. To sign up for UW Whitewater ROTC, go to the 4th floor of McCutcheon Hall to room 417.
For the health and safety of those living on campus, all residence hall water fountains have been turned off. However, the refill component remains active, so students can fill up their water bottles hands-free.
Welcome back to Please Excuse our momentary interruption of sports from your regular daily schedule. When thinking about March Madness, we envision hotly contested matchups. But that's not always how it is, especially in the first round, when the high-seed big-name schools go against lower, lesser-known schools, when most of the time it's a blowout. Is it doing the higher-seed team injustice to play against these lower-tier teams?
No, it's not, and this is the way they should keep it because it's obviously working. And I think the turnout for this season's March Madness is unlike any we've seen before, especially with all the upsets we've had. And so I think if you're a top-tier team and you get a 1 seed, you got to make sure that you play your best ball at the right time. And if you're like an Illinois who got eliminated by Loyola, then that's on them for not executing every game in and game out.
Yeah, although the magic of March and the upset is what all the fans rave about, 9 times out of 10 UMBC is not going to lose to Virginia. They're going to only win 1 out of 10 times. So I don't think it's a good representation of what the championship should be, because those teams are busting their tails all year long to be ranked. So what's the point of even ranking?
Yeah, but they still are able to achieve stuff like in their conferences. They're able to win regular season tournaments, conference tournaments. And so if you don't have a UMBC or a Wichita State or a VCU or a Loyola or even an FGCU Dunk City, then you don't have those Cinderella stories. And that is what March is all about. Finding those Cinderella stories and finding players that really do well and that don't have the stage to do it. That's what March Madness does.
I think it should be restructured just a little bit, though. I mean, it's going out on a limb here, but I think the Cinderella teams need to be separated from the upper echelon ones because it just doesn't give doesn't show what the true 2 best teams in the nation are.
Yeah, but then but Gonzaga's still in it. They're in the Sweet 16 right now, and they're playing at an all-time high. If you're looking at Oral Roberts and Max Abmas, he was the leading scorer in Division I, and he scores 24 points a game. You would have never seen him play if it wouldn't be for the NCAA tournament. That is what the NCAA tournament does. It can bring players to a national stage and gives them more attention.
You got me there. I would say. Yeah, you're right there. And especially with people like John Morant, they wouldn't have been able to show out. Given he basically averaged a double-double, triple-double in college, we wouldn't have been able to see those players. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able to see Sister Jean in Loyola Chicago. But again, Cameron Krutwig for Loyola Chicago, he dominated Illinois. 19 points, had a double-double, 10-plus rebounds. He was amazing. You wouldn't have even seen him. He wouldn't have got the exposure. They didn't play in front of fans. And he even said in his post-game interview, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And all of these teams want a chance at a national championship, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, once again, you got me there. But at the same time, a team like Illinois, they should be in the Final Four. They were one of the top 4 best teams in the country. So I still think that just a little bit, they should be getting recognized at least for going so far.
Yeah, and again, I think they do that with in their conference. And so, but again, it's all about trying to find who's that special team and who's got the players to do it. And again, it's all about experience and it's all about the talent that you have. And it's a mixture of both that really gets you far in the NCAA tournament.
Should there be more divisions come tournament time like the WIAA? And the reason I ask this is because they separate it based on enrollment like in schools. Obviously, it's already separated in the NCAA by divisions, but what do you think about that?
I think they may be concerned to that, but again, I think maybe in this COVID era that obviously it's not happening because this isn't more of a bubble situation, but maybe they can look towards that in the future.
Next up, a rise of off-field distractions. Right back after this commercial break.
At the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, we're passionate about learning. Our talented faculty members blend teaching with research, creating hands-on learning experiences for students. Warhawk Pride thrives at UW-Whitewater, where student-athletes excel on the field and in the classroom, where diversity is celebrated. A tradition of excellence. Find your passion here.
Video One Media Services provides accomplished students the opportunity to enhance their college experience by working with real-world clients. addition, we provide clients local and affordable video options to better enhance their media needs. For more information on how Video One Media Services can help you with your next media project, email or call our office at 262-472-5659.
UW Whitewater Athletics, a relentless pursuit of excellence across 22 sports, powered by a tradition of success. 20 national championships, 17 since 2002. 61 individual national titles. 24 National Athletes of the Year. 616 All-Americans. 115 Conference Scholar Athletes of the Year. 1,500 community service hours annually. Be a part of the tradition and join the Warhawk family.
Practicing social distancing is imperative to maintaining safety in the residence halls this year in lounges and common areas. For kitchens and laundry rooms, we have capped occupancy at 2 students in these spaces at any given time. Students will not be allowed to wait for their laundry in the laundry rooms, and if 2 students are already in the space switching laundry, please wait outside for one to leave. We ask that those using these spaces are efficient with their time, so all students have the option to use the common areas as needed. We thank you in advance for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Please Excuse our momentary interruption of sports from your regular daily schedule. We have seen athletes get more involved with off-field activities and social media, such as TikTok or Twitch during the active season of their sport. Some would say this is a major distraction for the athletes. Are athletes getting more distracted from their sport than ever?
I don't think they are, because this season especially, there's more focus on the season more than ever because of COVID. Teams are now only limited to what they can do if they're on the road. There's more attention to detail and more dedication towards the game. You've got more time to yourself, and so one of the things that people do, or one of the things athletes do, is they train and they're more dedicated to their sport. They're more active and they're trying to get better at their sport.
I think they need to focus on their sport because, like you said, specific players are really pushing it when it comes to what they do with their off-field antics. Let's give an example here. Juju Smith-Schuster. He always does these TikTok dances on everyone else's 50-yard line, and it's making everyone else super upset because he just can't find a way to just do what he's supposed to do. He's being paid. It's a job. It's not an activity that you go and work out with your friends. That's why I think that they need to stop being so distracted.
Yeah, but there are some athletes that know how to tone that down, and especially with Juju, I feel like he doesn't really know how to have his personal life, and they kind of overlap. And he was the one that had that happen, where he let it affect his playing on the field, and so performance went down. But if you look at LeBron James, for example, he is one of the prime examples of athletes not being distracted. He is able to like turn off his social media when he goes into the playoffs, and he's always locked in. Yeah, he has distractions off the field, but when it's game time, he is locked in. He is one of the greatest to ever do it at that.
I think James Harden is another big example of someone who can't really handle the spotlight. They just went to retire his jersey. Are you kidding me? Like, this guy didn't even make it past the Western Conference Finals, for crying out loud. I think because of him, like, for example, he needs to get out of the club and go back and play his game. I think that's the reason teams don't want him, is because he's so toxic.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But again, like when they get on the court or when they get on the field, they're locked in with that and locked in that moment, and they give 100% to the game and to the sport. But again, a lot of people look up to LeBron James. Anthony Edwards was talking in a post-game interview, and he said that they learned from Anthony Davis and LeBron James and what they had going with the Lakers. So I think that this LeBron James is a prime example for athletes to look up to with how to carry yourself on and off the court.
That'll do it for us here tonight. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time to hear more hot takes all around the world of sports. This has been Please Excuse Our Momentary Interruption of Sports from your regular daily schedule on UWW-TV.